Hi, I'm Mike Mottram, the account manager at Fortifi, and in this video I'm going to take you through defining the paycheck settings against a publisher record. So the paycheck settings will determine how often a publisher gets a paycheck generated, what their minimum payout might be, and any reserve that is held back in their commission. So to set up these publisher paycheck settings, in Fortifi, open the publisher that you want to edit. Once in the publisher record, click on Finance in the navigation menu, and we'll see Paycheck Settings on the navigation list on the left-hand side. By clicking here, we can see what their current paycheck settings are. These will be defaulted either from the organization paycheck settings or the foundation paycheck settings that this publisher is a part of. In my case, we can see that the minimum payout has been defaulted to 200, the reserve to 10%, and the reserve days to 30, for example. So I can leave these as the defaults either from that foundation or organization settings, and we can see that this publisher will have a paycheck generated every month on the 1st, provided that their commission policy exceeds the $200 minimum payout, and they will have some reserve of 10% held back for 30 days, and that there'll be delayed payment for 30 days on each of their paychecks. However, we might want to overwrite this specifically for this publisher. So the first thing I can edit is the minimum payout, and I can set any amount in here that I want. It might be that for this particular publisher, we want to pay them every $50 that they make, we want to create a paycheck. And that means that if their commission policy makes them $49 by the time the paycheck is being generated, we just won't generate a paycheck for this publisher. So they have to have exceeded their minimum payout for a paycheck to be generated. If not, they'll just roll on to the next paycheck period and we'll check that commission amount again until it has exceeded its minimum payout. The next thing we have is the reserve percentage and reserve days. So at the moment mine's defaulted to 10% reserve and 30 reserve days. The reserve is just a way of holding back some commission from this paycheck and holding it for a number of days, at which point it will be released and put into the next paycheck. It allows you to make sure that your publishers will keep sending you traffic because they're waiting for their released reserves on the next paycheck that comes through from you. So I can update the percentage that I'm reserving to say maybe 20%, and I'm going to reserve that for only 15 days. So after that 15 days, that 20% of each commission that is generated will be released. We can then define our frequency. Currently this is set to every month on the 1st, but I can change this to any structure that I want. I can set it to daily, which will allow me to determine every number of days this is being produced. So we might have a paycheck generated every 7 days, for instance. I could say that this is going to be weekly, and this could be every, say, 2 weeks on a Thursday, for instance. Or I could change this to monthly and say that actually I'm going to generate a paycheck on the 1st of the month, but also on the 16th of the month. So this is similar to setting this to weekly, but it allows me to determine the exact date that I'm going to generate that paycheck rather than it being on a specific day of the week. I can then define the payment delay days. So the payment delay days is a good way of making sure you're not paying out commission to your publishers whilst you're still within your default cancellation period for customers. For instance, a customer might make an acquisition with you. You might pay your publisher $50 for that acquisition, but the customer is still within their refund period. So they refund their acquisition and you've got no way of claiming that commission back. It's already been assigned to that publisher and paid out in a paycheck. By using payment delay days, a publisher can send in an acquisition to you. You can assign that commission to the publisher for that acquisition, but you won't actually add it into a paycheck until the payment delay days have been exceeded. So it might go into the next paycheck or the one after that, rather than the first paycheck coming up. It allows you to cater for any customers refunding their acquisitions within your refund period without having to worry about having already paid out the commission to the publisher. So once you've set all of those, we can save our policy and the updated settings will be shown to us, and this means that this publisher will use these settings for every paycheck moving forward. So that's it. That's how to set up the paycheck settings for your publishers, how to define their minimum payout amount, when they'll be paid, any reserve percentage that you want to set up, and any payment delay days against there as well. Thanks very much for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please click on the like button. Please click on the subscribe link to be notified every time Fortifi uploads a video. We're regularly putting up new help guides and tips and tricks. Please also follow us on social media by searching Fortifi.